Hey friends, before we dive into today's episode, I want to tell you about our sponsor, Nacelle. Now, you know what drives me crazy is when I'm shopping online and I see the recommended products widget that have products in it that have absolutely nothing to do with what I'm looking at. Now, I can guarantee you that you've experienced this too. And that's why I'm excited about my sponsor today, Nacelle. They have an incredible tool that's called Page, and it actually learns your brand voice and understands how your customers shop. And then it creates recommendations that feel personalized, almost handpicked for each visitor. Now, what I love too is how simple it is to use. Their team handles everything with a white glove service. We're talking one-click installation and you're ready to go. Zero tech headaches whatsoever. So that's awesome. One other thing about Nacelle that I think is incredibly special is that it works for everyone that's visiting your store, even first-time browsers who haven't even created accounts yet. With 90% or more, as we know, these are anonymous website visitors that come to your site. And this is now a game changer for conversions because now we have this personalized experience. I've even talked to some merchants that are using Nacelle and their conversion rates have significantly improved. And more importantly, they even have an average order value on one client's actually up over 18%. So this is really money in your pocket. So you want to turn more browsers into buyers with AI recommendations that actually work. Head on over to nacelle.com. That's NACELLE.com. You can start a free trial with them, kick the tires a bit, actually see what their platform can actually do for your store. You can also check it out, that great blog. You can see why a lot of leading brands are trusting Nacelle to power their growth. And it can power your growth too.
You're listening to E-commerce Fastlane, the podcast show to help you build, manage, grow, and scale a successful and thriving company, powered by Shopify. Listen to real conversations with partners and subject matter experts as they share proven practical strategies, platforms, and the best Shopify apps to help you accelerate your business. The time is now for you to improve efficiencies, grow revenue, profit, and lifetime customer loyalty. Please welcome your host, startup founder and strategic advisor, Steve Hutt.
Well, hey there. Welcome back to E-commerce Fastlane. I'm your host, Steve Hutt. Now picture this. I have something that I want to paint for you right now. If you're running a Shopify store, I can guarantee you that customer emails are definitely piling up. I can guarantee, because I've seen it firsthand, that your team is forwarding messages back and forth and you're spending so much time probably managing these conversations between team members than actually helping customers. And I can guarantee that sounds very familiar. Today, my guest has literally solved that problem. His name is Philippe. He's the co-founder and CEO of a company called Missive, and they're at missiveapp.com. What they are is they're kind of a collaborative communication platform. It's trusted by over 25,000 teams worldwide. Like they really are the real deal. Like honestly, like Philippe really has spent the last decade solving this exact kind of, I'm going to call it inbox chaos, but really it's really driving, merchants and support agents crazy because, there's just so much cluster going on back and forth. And at the end of the day, it's really all about the customer. His platform really combines a lot of things together in one, which is email and chat and task management. So the interactions between employees, but plus the merchant-facing communication with customers. So it's really interesting. And the nice thing about it too is you never lose context because Missive also integrates, why he's on the show today, it integrates directly with Shopify. So it's actually pulling in through API all of the customer order data and into these support conversations. So it really adds a lot of context to your conversation. So it's quite interesting. So I'm hoping over the next, 30 minutes or so that we're going to kind of talk a little bit about how we can kind of transform. I know usually a lot of times these tools can be quite expensive, and this is not the case. How do we create the service side of the business to be more of a profit center than more of a cost center? So I'm really excited to kind of unpack what Missive does and the problems it's solving today. So hi, Philippe. Welcome to E-commerce Fastlane.
Hey, Steve, that was a perfect pitch for Missive. Thanks for this one.
He's called do a little research before your guest comes on, right? It's good. And actually, I downloaded and actually installed the solution myself to get familiar with it because I really wanted to see, because I have Steve at ecommercefastlane.com. I said, hey, what am I missing here? Do I have inbox chaos? Yes, I have 250 emails a day. I may not have the cross-employee kind of internal communication, but I kind of do. So anyways, we'll unpack that in a second here. So I want to talk a little bit about, from what I can read on LinkedIn and stuff, you've been building businesses for a couple decades now. And I think Missive, from what I can see, seems like has been designed very specifically out of your own frustration. I believe you used to run like a co-working space. So can you kind of walk us through almost the moment when you realize that maybe traditional kind of like Gmail or just email in general really doesn't cut it when it comes to team collaboration, and then how, just kind of building the solution. I just want to kind of understand the founding story.
Yeah, well, it's a funny one. I guess now 15 years ago, I was organizing festivals in Quebec City, my hometown. And every year, just the day before the festival, I had to spend a lot of time design e-commerce solution for name badges. All right. So that was the first business I got online that had quite traction and success. And so basically conferencebadge.com, you would go there, you would upload your attendee list and design your badges, and then we would ship them to you. So we had all of the usual e-commerce pain, right? Package get lost, or trouble with the providers, bugs with the connection with Eventbrite and whatnot. So a lot of different issues would show up, and me and my colleagues, like a small team of 3, had to kind of find ways to collaborate and coordinate on all of those issues while doing everything, right? And that's when we decided that we could actually try to spend some time and make the email experience more collaborative, because we loved our email client. We didn't want to switch to a different tool, like a ticketing system where everything feels rigid and not really like customers send you emails, but they get tickets. So for us, was kind of rigid. We didn't want to impose that. We wanted our customer to basically email us and feel that we were emailing them back. And that's when we start to hack our way around some prototypes that eventually, a few years later, became like Missive, which we released to the public now 9 years ago.
Wow. Yeah, it's amazing. I'm actually in the inbox right now, and I just kind of, when I have 10,732 emails in my inbox, to be exact. But the reality is that, it has a very, this obviously was quite intentional on the UX side of it, but it seems very intuitive. It seems like I don't know what it is. It's not like, it almost feels like I don't have to learn anything new here. I mean, other than on the left navigation, having things about task management, and having access to my calendar and a few things, which I think is quite interesting. So can you walk us through what I'm kind of looking at and intentionality for the design and the connection to Gmail, and how this is the new look and feel and how the business runs?
Yeah. So basically you get what everybody is used to, like an inbox. Right. So usually you logged in Gmail, you have your personal inbox, right? Or personal business account inbox. And then the troubles start when you get some different email address, like shared ones, whether it could be Google Groups or dedicated shared accounts and whatnot. And then on top of that, all of your social media account and whatnot. So in your sidebar in Missive, you get your inbox, and that's your stuff. That's your personal stuff. But you can also create what we call team inboxes. And in those, you can collaborate with people in your team, and you can pretty much configure Missive with pretty much any email setup you have. Like it could be you're hosted on a Google Workspace, Office 365, you're using like Google Groups or distribution list, or you simply have like IMAP on GoDaddy. Like we support every single setup. And so like Missive first and foremost is usual email client experience you're used to, right? So you get emails and you reply to them. The only thing we do is we have collaboration on top of it. And I guess for you, Steve, I think you said you collaborate with your wife, whatnot, but usually something that people can try on when they try it first is basically connect their email account, their colleague or even their spouse, and then just try to collaborate on one email via chat in Missive. So basically you have your email like you would in Gmail, but then instantly you can start to have chat conversation with colleagues, but in the context of those emails. So instead of like taking a screenshot, pasting in Teams or Slack, and then in a channel, and then that's not tied to the email anymore, nor is it tied to any of the contacts in your CRM and whatnot, and then the information gets lost, right? In Missive, the idea is like everything happens in the right email thread. And that has a lot of value for a lot of our customers.
Yeah, it's interesting because I know in the past I've seen it where in internal notes that may be highlighted in a different color that's just part of that email thread, but it really is for that one person's inbox. Where yours is more of a collaborative thing, so it's just like, hey, there, and I'm seeing it right now where I can pin things to my sidebar, and how I can add on things like team spaces or chat rooms and things like that, so that there are ways of from within one solution saying, no, this is where all the magic happens. This is how we communicate internally, and this is how we communicate externally, but in that kind of like Gmail inbox kind of experience.
Correct. Yeah.
Yeah. Very cool. All right, so I want to talk a little bit about, I find it fascinating, the fact that, there's like, I don't know, I'm sure the number's even larger now, but, 25,000 active customers or active users that are on Missive right now, but you have like 2 support agents. I think it's almost only 7 or 8 employees in your company, which it seems like incredible to me. And that's an amazing efficiency. So I think Shopify merchants would dream of having that sort of efficiencies. But what's your framework that you're able to build such a lean support operation? Because I want to make sure if there's any way that we could apply that towards the e-commerce merchant.
It's a great question. The honest first most important answer is like awesome human beings in our team, right? That's the first thing.
Yes.
But then obviously, I think the fact that we're using Missive, and obviously I'm selling my product, but there's not a lot of context switching. When we onboard new employees, they get onboarded in Missive, and then they instantly get access to the history of all of the email community. They get access to all of our kind of responses. They get access to the AI integration we have in Missive. And basically, our own system is that whenever we have interesting conversation with customer, we would label them and especially when it's something new. So we would have like a couple of labels like easy support requests, medium support requests, requests, and when that needed the development team and whatnot. And then pretty much when we onboarding specialists, we tell them like pretty much just dig in those labels and learn by looking at all of those conversations. And for us, it has been, and keep in mind that at Missive, because we support like IMAP, Gmail, Office, Facebook, WhatsApp, we get a lot of different issues, right? Mm-hmm. And like our customer usually love, there's a lot of things they would want to improve. There's a lot of surface area where they want to provide feedback. So for a new customer support person, it's often overwhelming the amount of things they need to learn. So I think being in a solution where there's no context switching, like helps us like train them a bit faster.
Yeah. It's funny. I use a tool that I've been using for quite a while, and I think it tries to kind of help with that particular context switching issue. It's called Rambox. I should have mentioned what it is. And like, so Rambox for me is like, having access to these different sorts of from within panel that I can kind of click through on the left-hand side. But it's still, in that particular case, it's still a lot of context switching because it's going from one to another. So I have to click on a different icon to have a whole chat session or chat or like a Gmail or a Google chat with someone on my team, or then I have a Slack tab, and all of a sudden there's a lot of different things going on here. But what I find interesting with Missive, when I was kind of playing around with it, when I went to add on under integrations, I mean, you have a lot of kind of pre-baked in integrations. Obviously, the Shopify connector is there under the e-commerce side, but it seems like, yeah, you want to be like the central home for the internal communication and external to clients and customers. But you also it appears to be very intentional on, we understand that you may have other pieces of technology that are part of your business that you just need to have access to it. So can you talk a little about, because I'm seeing here, there's literally like more than 100 connectors here right now. From communication and payments and productivity and project management and everything here. So can you talk a little about that intentionality around partner connections?
Yes. So when you launch a solution like Missive with brand statement like we want you to do less context switching, Obviously, like not all business starts with missive.
Right.
So to ease the process of embracing the solution and having a lot of value the first day you're using it, it is a necessity to connect to your different platforms. And even to say that we don't really want to replace most of those. If you're on Shopify, if you're using Missive, you still need Shopify, right? We're not an e-commerce platform.
Right.
So there's different types of integration. Shopify would be enrichment. You basically need your Shopify data to be able to provide support to your customers. So having it loaded automatically next to your customer conversation is mandatory if you want to use Missive to do support on your Shopify store. So, and then we also support like project management app like ClickUp, Trello, and those. And basically, because we have a lot of customer where just part of their company will be on Missive, and some other will use some different other product. So and there needs to be a bridge, and so those integration would help bridge the gap with the rest of the teams not using Missive.
I see. Okay.
In an ideal world, all people would be using Missive.
Right.
But to ease the transition, we found that building those integration, and most we built ourselves, was necessary.
I see. So I have a question around the use case now for Shopify brands. I find that there's typically either a contact form, usually on the site, and that's how people communicate with, or there is just a main kind of catch-all email address. And so it would appear that would be like the primary inbox. Now, can multiple agents log in individually and reply on behalf of the business from within the same inbox? And is it going to be confusing in real time if two people are attacking the same email and or replying at the same time or different times? Is there some kind of like checks and balances about who's attacking which email and when?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, great question. So basically, usually we find two philosophy. There's the people that want their employees to reply as the business and not have any persona, right? So you're replying as support, basically, and maybe you have a custom signature, but you're still replying as from support at address. There's other businesses that like to push the fact that they have and they offer personal relationship to their customer. So when they get assigned to somebody, they exchange email with a real person, and it's their real email address and signature and whatnot. And you can pretty much build those two setup on Missive. So you could have your employees always reply from support and having maybe a custom signature, or you could have your employees to reply to support email, but using their personal address. But the way Missive is built is even if I reply to a support email via my Philip at address, and if I'm sick, out of office or whatnot, Missive would still consider this conversation to be linked to the team, let's say called support, and then another person could take over that conversation. And on top of that team inbox that you have, you can build rules. And with those rules, for instance, you could have like run robin assignment or automatically triage the emails to the support agent with the last open conversation. Right. You could even implement AI in the rule engine. So basically, if you get support emails, you can usually as a human grade them. Okay, so those ones would be handled by that team because they're easy. Those ones are harder, or those ones are extremely hard and need to be dealt just by senior people. And now what's cool with AI is you can build prompts in the rule engine, and that triaging could be done intelligently by the AI. And then at the end of the day, you don't have to have a human doing that triaging, which takes a lot of time, usually in the morning, because you don't want to miss the really important tickets.
Right.
Remember conference badge? For us, it was handling package at the custom, because we're a Canadian company. We're shipping a lot to the US. Like packages would get stuck. But the conference is still like... the conference still going to be at the same time, even if it's stuck at the border. So we had to deal with those issues urgently. One way to use the AI is to surface those tickets instantly via a prompt that would analyze the content and say, okay, like the customer hasn't received his package. It should be assigned to, let's say, Philip, right? Yeah. So there's a lot of strategy to set yourself up. And I would say, honestly, that might be of the thing that it's hard to get about Missive is it's extremely low.
Mm-hmm.
And when you say flexibility, you usually say configuration, and that can be, right? And what we learn is that by offering, yes, great documentation, but we also do webinars where people can simply attend, ask all of their questions, give their use case, and we will have someone that kind of explain how they could set themselves up in Missive. And if it's too complex, we can even do like one-on-one onboarding calls also. So.
Very cool. So I want to talk about the Shopify connection. So when I go, just because I'm playing with as we were speaking here, and I go add integration, and I go to e-commerce, and I see Shopify is listed there, and I can add Missive now. And it looks like it's asking me for my Shopify store domain, and it's asking for the Shopify admin access token. There's some instructions about, I guess, an API token that's added here, and that allows your platform and the Shopify instance to be able to communicate back and forth. So once that's kind of done, is there what's typically happening in the background now? Is there an ingestion process that's happening of all order history? Are they syncing up to contact records that are inside Missive now, so that there's like a source of truth? I'm trying to understand what's happening.
No, there's no syncing. So basically what happens, and as soon as you select a conversation in Missive, Missive's going to take all of the parties involved, basically the email addresses in the case of an email thread, and then through our own server, query your Shopify store to find any relevant stuff, like customer orders and whatnot, and then instantly display those in the sidebar.
I see. And that's all from within that conversation. So a panel will open up and it'll have all the order history and all the details and stuff.
Exactly. And then basically, if you don't find any order, you can then link that email address to that customer, and then the orders will show up.
Oh, I see. And so it's interesting. So it almost would seem like an integration like this is solving some interesting problems about like just maybe understanding like, where's my order, number one. And so there's going to be some like order history and potential tracking numbers, some details in there. So you can kind of go directly to get that information to them. Or what happens with maybe like, is it in stock? Or I want to cancel, I want a refund. How do these conversations get handled?
Well, again, with the integration, the integration surface information, but pretty much gives you shortcuts to the relevant part of the Shopify admin UI.
Perfect.
So I think that's the best thing. You pretty much can. You most likely want to do the operation on Shopify itself. So you click and then you open like the admin on Shopify, and you can do the work from there.
Okay, lovely. Okay, that's perfect. So now you mentioned a bit about AI and stuff like that. I think it's the elephant in the room. It's like every merchant that I talk to, and there's been a lot of conversations. They're saying, hey, like there's so many different ways of integrating AI, and there's different parts of the AI. It could be like the forecasting. It could be on-page personalization engines. In your particular case, it's more about AI automation. I think I can say without maybe losing your personal touch. Can you talk a little about kind of where you're at today with AI, and then what sort of things are you surfacing to help agents kind of be more on brand, or to find the right canned response, or maybe even email routing? I'm curious on kind of what power you have right now.
Yeah, so basically we have two AI integration. We have the one in the rule engine I talked earlier that allows you to automate some of your process, right? So you could extract some data from an email, you could auto-triage the emails. So that's the automation part. So you basically define whatever prompt. When you prompt something on ChatGPT, well, when you define your rule, you can prompt something, and it can be anything, right? And the models that we support have access to the internet. So a funny prompt I did was I could query like the weather in a specific city and then do something different on the email based on the current weather, right? It's just basically like pretty advanced stuff that you can get for free using AI. You could, in your prompt, which are quite large, they support extremely large prompt, those models now. So you could paste some large CSV with data about like different particularities about like shipment for your customer, and then you could ask the rule engine to prepare a draft based on that information. And then the second aspect is AI in the app itself. All right, so you can configure prompts that you can automatically apply to any emails. All right, so basically, the one I use the most, the simplest, but when I write draft, I want the AI to fix my typos.
Right.
And so basically it's that, just fix my typos. I also have one that's translate in French. My first language is French, but I usually write so much in English that I don't like to write in French anymore sometimes. So I'll write in English and then ask the AI to translate. So there's a lot of automation you can do. And because it's prompts, you can do pretty much anything AI can do. So we didn't hide the AI behind some features, right? We pretty much let you create whatever prompts you need and use it in app.
Oh, okay. Very cool. Okay, this is amazing. And then the other thing that's been coming up, and maybe your solution doesn't necessarily solve this, but I'm sure talking to merchants, you're doing some recommendations about this, but they feel that, is there a way to use automation to not have the email happen at all? Meaning, like through chat bots and through these large language models and ingesting things like access to Shopify or access to, and maybe certainly the logged in experience, but I mean, being able to look at FAQs and understanding a few things. Is that on your roadmap, or do you currently solve that, or like what are people doing today? Because I think the reason I'm asking this question is because I think a lot of people are a little bit leery about having an AI chatbot run for their business kind of in the after hours area because they feel it's not on brand.
I think it's at the moment currently from conversation with customers, it's not only not on brand, it's imperfect in so many edges. Although it's impressive, you can do a demo and it's extremely impressive.
Right.
But on the long tail of customer questions and tickets, it's often creates a lot of mistakes. And so our philosophy right now, and like the space is evolving so fast that might change. But right now, it's more about augmentation than automation. So the tool we're building is to do their job faster. So for instance, the prompt you can create in the UI, you can connect them to your canned responses or to the FAQ on your website. And you can ask the AI to write the draft for you. But right now, we don't allow the AI to reply for you. So like the customer, the employees will have to review the email that the AI came up to and then manually press send. And we do it like that because I believe it's a technology people can hang themselves with if they go the automation route. So for us, augmentation is better currently than automation.
Right. Okay. Very cool. My next question is around where the customers are. So right now we've been kind of mostly discussing kind of like the inbox and then the internal kind of employee communication. And then I love the AI component now. But I also feel that customers are reaching out through Instagram DMs and WhatsApp and SMS, and they're all over the place. And so like knowing that, it's like, how do you... First of all, what's your mindset around that? And like, how do you integrate these different channels into Missive? Is that possibility? And is there still a customer record now if you can assign the email address to the social network, to the email? Like, does the full history, because I'll tell you what happens. Even I'm guilty of this. It's like you send an email and you don't get an answer back in in a half an hour. Next thing you know, you're sending a DM through to see if the social media person is going to pick it up.
Yeah.
And so what's your thought on this?
Yeah. So Missive support most important channel. Like we support Messenger, we support WhatsApp Business, we support SMS via like Twilio, Dialpad.
Oh, nice.
You can even have like your phone line in Missive, and the phone will ring in Missive and it will create a customer conversation record in Missive.
Oh, wow.
And the cool thing with Missive, like you get a couple of strategy. And one thing that's pretty wild when you're not used to it is you can merge conversations. So let's say a customer reach out via email, and then like you just said, a few minutes later, write a SMS. Well, you need to have visibility to understand that it happened. And then when you found that you have two conversations for the same issue, you can merge them. And then you have a single thread with the SMS and the email thread combined. And then you could have like an internal chat conversation with your teams about how to address this situation, and then reply with the appropriate format, which usually would be email. And then when that customer emails back, you still see the SMS they got also in the same thread. In Missive, we call like threads conversation in the same conversation.
Oh, I see. Okay, good. So then there are ways of joining those all up. So then another agent kind of grabs that email or that SMS. All of a sudden, they can see that there's been some communication. They can kind of reference that and say, "Hey, Frank, has already responded to you or whatever." But and by the way, copy paste. Here's what he said in case you missed it.
Exactly. And if you don't want to merge, because I don't know, sometimes it could be messy to merge all different types.
Right.
What's cool with Missive is you can reference conversation. So let's say a customer email you about something they ordered yesterday, and you remember that a customer had the exact same issue like 3 months ago. You search for that conversation, you copy a reference to it, and when you chat, you can paste the reference in the chat. And then for the other person seeing the internal chat message, they will select your chat message plus a link they can click to navigate directly with the email you're referencing. So that creates a really fast shortcut for the other people in that conversation to get to that information, like a bit like links on the internet, but basically links in between email conversation. And that's quite powerful when you start playing with that. It wasn't a possibility before.
Oh man, this is amazing. So it seems like, I don't know, I'm just thinking out loud here, but it seems like the whole customer communication, it seems to be really evolving now, thanks to your platform and maybe others that are trying to solve a very similar problem. But it's just this, I'm going to use the word context aware, but it seems like having context, it just makes it almost is like a competitive moat that a brand can have, because it's not just, getting stuck in a Gmail and not having a full history. It almost seems like you really have elevated your brand ethos a bit by having your platform run. It's just so interesting to me that this is kind of, I guess, what customers demand, but it seems like a really good experience for team members to actually use a solution like this without having context switching, but being context aware.
Mm-hmm.
So interesting.
Yeah, definitely. And it's one reason we built it. I mean, it's a powerful platform. And when you use Missive, you want to empower your employees. You don't want to limit your employees. You don't want to control your employees. And it's one reason we're really creating a product for SMBs, because for most smaller business or medium businesses, you do want to empower your employees. You want them to grow with you. They're not numbers. And by using a product like Missive, which is flexible and has a lot of power to it, has a lot of different contexts, you do need to have a somewhat high level of trust for your employees. And yeah, important thing for us.
Yeah, this is amazing. So what do you think kind of the next steps are? Because I think the nice thing about our show is that we have just thousands of people listening to this episode right now. And I think there's going to be all different types of founders and marketers in different parts of their entrepreneurial journey. There's going to be some early stage people that are just, they're wearing a lot of hats, 1 or 2 man show kind of doing their thing. And, maybe they're just drop shipping or they're doing print on demand kind of work. There's some in the mid-market and there's quite a few in the enterprise side. What do you believe kind of the next steps and who are the sweet spot of the perfect customer that would get the most amount of value out of Missive?
It's a good question, because Missive is I usually say anybody with Google Workspace is a potential Missive customer, right?
Fair enough.
I would say definitely less than 200 people. You get to a scale where as a product, you're more like your feature set is mostly geared to administrative tasks, right? So you want to allow the business to control many different aspects. And I think you get to that point at more than 200 people. So I would definitely say less than 200 people is the sweet spot for us. But our median team size is 6.
Okay.
So we're the best solution out there, no question, for smaller teams. And the cool thing is that those smaller teams, usually they love Missive and they grow with us, right? That's why I say 200, because most of those have started as small businesses and now they're more like powerhouse in their industries, but they're still using Missive because they love it and they run their operation on it. So what's fascinating for me is that a lot of our growth is from platform and not churning because they're too big, just embracing the platform and building on top of it.
Yeah, it's amazing. So, and I've written a lot of notes here, and I guess some of my takeaways, and that's why I feel so blessed to have the opportunity to be able to meet founders and, and see the products that they're actually building. And like my takeaways, and I'm sure we can talk about how people can try the solution. I wrote down like about the fact that you really have a unified communication reality. To me, it seems like you've kind of really solved that problem of emails and SMS and WhatsApp and all that. And I just love the fact that it's all within one platform. So that's my one key takeaway. I also like the fact that you have this kind of AI rules engine. I think it's very interesting to me how you can extract things out of it and help draft responses and stuff. And I think that's really interesting. It just almost, you still have to have human judgment, but I just feel it just, like you said, it helps improve grammar and being more on brand, and then having access to that prompt engine to be able to make sure that you kind of get to that level. I can see how your platform continues to grow. And then my last one was I feel this is a weakness for a lot of businesses, is what are they doing from both their internal and their external collaboration. I think that's, you're kind of like, hopefully I'm not saying things that you don't agree with me on, but you seem like you're breaking some silos down between internal and external kind of communication, it seems to me. And it's like all, without the context switching. So that's kind of like my 3 takeaways that I'm thinking of.
Yeah, I mean, you got it totally right. You were prepared. I could say that.
All right.
Yes, that's exactly it. And one thing I must add is that if you want your user to really use Missive, not just for like their shared inbox issues, but for all of their emails,
right,
it needs to be a really good goddamn email client, right?
Oh, yeah.
You don't want to ditch Gmail from some half-baked app that's slow and whatnot, right?
Yeah.
Missive is fast. The UI is great. And that's an important point that we take a lot of pride of. We have customers that have used Superhuman before, Gmail before, all of the different email client, you can name it, and they still switch to Missive. So email client experience is stellar, and that's kind of the core reason I think people love it. It's not a subpar experience. It's not just good for the shared inbox issue. It's pretty much good for all of your for communication.
Yeah, I love it. Well, I have it open on my desk now, so I'm going to be a quote unquote an early adopter. At least in my age, I'm more in the media company world, so I'm not really merchant facing. I do have customers, but it's interesting. So I'm going to see how this could fit into my use case. But it's I love the UI, and I think it's important because I think with great UI, you're more apt to use the solution because you feel like it's intuitive. Like it's kind of like UX 101, but it just seems to be. You're doing the right things here. So this is lovely. So I understand your sweet spot, and I think this is great. So what do you want people to do next to try the solution and a trial, and like what are the next steps?
Yeah, so we pretty much, there's the 2 things you can do. You can go on missiveapp.com, click download and set yourself up. Take a few minutes. You download the app, sign up, and then connect your first email account, and then you're good to go. I would say connect your Shopify store and then just test a few emails and see like the orders show up, and you'll see the potential. And we also have webinars that you can attend, and those webinars are pretty much glorified Q&A sessions. So you talked about your use case, and then Louis from my team is going to teach you how Missive could be set up to help you with those problems.
That's lovely. So it'll be missiveapp.com. We didn't talk about it on this episode, but I'll have links in the show notes. There's a whole bunch of case studies in here, even direct e-commerce case studies of brands that have made the decision to move to Missive and how ridiculously happy they are. And I think that's one of the reasons why I got you on, is I started doing a little digging deep, peeling the onion a bit, something very unique here, and it needs to be told. And that's kind of why you're on the show today. So I'll have it all in the show notes. This has been great. I always joke, but page 2 of notes. This is Yeah, I've learned a lot. I'm running it right now live as we're speaking. So this is really great. Thank you for building this product for so many years and helping the Shopify businesses just unify everything in one solution and continue. I wish you continued success in your journey with this platform.
Hey, thanks so much, Steve.
All right. Have yourself a great day.
Yeah. Bye-bye.
Well, that's it for today's episode. I'd like to thank you personally for being a loyal listener of E-commerce Fastlane. It's my hope that this podcast is offering you a ton of value through growth strategies, tactics, and exclusive insider tips on the best Shopify apps and marketing platforms, all with my personal goal to help you build, manage, grow, and scale a successful and thriving company powered by Shopify. Thanks for investing some time today and listening to the show. I'm so proud and excited that you have a growth mindset and are a constant learner. I truly appreciate you and your entrepreneurial journey. Enjoy the rest of the week and keep thriving with Shopify.